The consensus in the Destiny 2 community is that the corrupted Grandmaster strike is the toughest strike in Destiny 2. I'm here to tell you, that's not the case anymore. Bungie has made some changes to this Nightfall to make it so it's not cheesable anymore, so this is a non-cheese strat here. But the truth is, you don't need it. With a good build, some decent positioning, and some good understanding of how this strike works, you can easily knock this thing out and get it taken care of so you can guild your Grandmaster in the Season of the Lost. This Grandmaster used to be the king of the jungle, the lion, and now with these strategies and some good builds and a solid team composition, you can make this thing the Dreaming City Kitty. By doing this on Platinum, you'll get access to either the Hung Jury or the Adept version of the Hothead rocket launcher. While rocket launchers aren't necessarily strong this season, it's been a little while since they've been in the cycle, so they may see a return in the next couple of seasons. So you'll want to pick this up so you have this in your inventory and you're ready to rock when the new seasons come out. We're going to show you the builds that you need to use, all the strategies to knock this out and make it very, very easy. But first, if you do like something inside this video, gently press the like button. And if you like more Destiny 2 content, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss a single thing. All right, Titans, you have a couple of strengths inside of this Nightfall. I'd recommend using bottom tree hammers so you can make sunspots, or middle tree sentinels so you can use a shield to block your enemies and get a boost to damage. Using Phoenix Cradle is going to be really strong with bottom tree hammers, as well as Path of the Burning Steps. If you want to use middle tree sentinel, you can certainly use Ursa Furiosa, but you'll only get 50% of your shield back, so just keep that in mind. Another great exotic to run is any of the Aeon gauntlets because you can generate heavy ammo for your team, which will make a lot of this go a lot faster. All right, my Warlock folks, you are going to again be a Stasis Warlock, so we can get Stasis turrets who are going to be really solid. Another really good option is bottom tree on the Solar subclass for ad clear. You're mainly being used for your rifts and your nades, whether it's Stasis turrets or if you want to use a solar grenade. A couple of great things you should be running is if you want to make sure you stay alive, run a stag. There's no reason you can't use it here. It will help you stay alive in rifts in case if you're in a tough position. But if you feel more confident, you can certainly use the Dawn Chorus helmet if you're using bottom tree on the Solar subclass. Of course, you can always use an Aeon set of gauntlets to generate heavy ammo. That's what my team did with my Warlocks. If you do choose to run a Void Warlock, you could certainly use the Controverse Hold Gauntlets. Those will be really nice because they'll allow you to charge grenades and throw them and get your grenade energy back a lot. It's really good for low man builds. All right, my Hunter brethren, you are going to be running bottom tree Night Stalkers. It is the best class because it is the clutch class in Grandmasters. It allows you to grab the relic and be safe. You can invis your team members. Make sure that you're running Gambler's Dodge, which allows you to get your melee back when you dodge near enemies. The top two exotics I would recommend are the Omnioculus chest piece or the Six Coyote chest piece. That's all devoted to getting your grenades back and making sure that you stay alive. When you're using Omnioculus and the upside to that, you get 2 smoke grenades, but it also adds more resist for you and your team members when you're using an extra grenade. Of course, you can always use an Aeon set of gauntlets to generate heavy ammo. Finally, let's talk about weapons. These are the weapons you should definitely be using. You should definitely be using a divinity with one person. It's very important because it will allow you to take care of the unstoppable champions and also get a nice buff to damage. That will work really well with exotic bows and linear fusion rifles when you're dealing damage to any of the champions. You'll want to make sure that you have a mix of Arc, Solar, and Void, so my team spec'd it out pretty much like you see here on screen. We had one divinity for Arc energy shields, we had Tiku's Divination for any of the Solar shields, plus lots of explosive damage, which is really good in dealing with a lot of the Taken ads, La Monarch for any of the Void shields, and to work on getting those Overload champions down really quickly. In addition, having a threaded needle with Warpable weapon is super duper strong. And then very important, if you can get a blinding grenade launcher like Ignition Code, it will really help you deal with a lot of the really strong ads that permeate this strike. If nothing else, make sure that you have one of each kind of damage type with your team so you're set up and ready to go. And make sure that you're aware of what damage type you have and what shields you're trying to knock down. That's so important in this strike, and we'll call that out as we're going through the entire strike itself. Again, these are recommendations, but truth be told, this is going to make this Grandmaster so much easier if you can use these things together with a good team composition and a good build so you can knock it out quick, fast, and easy. Okay, let's jump in. First things first, don't just immediately go off to your right because there is an easy to miss champion. In fact, my group that did this, we missed this champion the first time and we got gold. Come back over here to the center. There's going to be an enemy that's actually an overload champion. He actually doesn't say overload champ in front of his name. He's just one of those extra enemies that are at the beginning of the strike, and it's really easy to miss him. Before you start going off around the corner, take a second, knock him out. He is basically just free. Take a second behind cover, and you're good to go. Head over to the right-hand side, and then you'll be able to reestablish some cover that's really easy to use for this next section. All right, once you've killed that first champion, come over here. There will be a Taken Phalanx, and he is a very easy enemy to kill, but he is going to shoot Axion darts at you, so just be careful. The Axion darts are those round circular things that he's shooting at you. Be careful right here because he can kill you at this section. After that, all you have to do is knock out 2 of the overload champions, but do be aware that some Taken will spawn up here. Keep your distance, and since you're using a bow, it's not a big deal. Use any of your void abilities or your threaded needle or grenades or any of your void bows to take those folks out, and then just focus on the overload champions as they come around. They're not very hard to kill, but what you can actually do is have a person stand up over in this right pathway over immediately to my right, and they can actually get a really good shot and get some good cover. Knock out those 2 overloads, and then you're good to go. All right, this next section is where the Night Stalker is going to come in clutch. You don't have to fight any of these enemies in the Ascendant plane on your way to the elevator room. Just use a couple of your invisibility grenades to stack up with the rest of your team so you don't get wrecked. Just make sure that your entire team knows that you're doing this. You don't want to leave them back behind. What I recommend is that you get your entire group right here to this platform, and then use your grenade right here to make everyone go invisible. Then hop down to this platform. If you're using Omnioculus, you'll actually get your grenade back. Once everybody's set up, do it again, and then you just push forward. If you absolutely need to, as the hunter, you can actually distract these guys. You can hit a grenade, chuck a grenade over here to stay alive. It is a little risky, but it can keep all of the aggro off your teammates, especially if they're not hunters. Okay, it's time for the elevator room. What I would do is maybe charge 1 or 2 right here as soon as you're ready to actually start the encounter. Now, these will actually disappear after a certain period of time. Bungie has added it in so you can actually just build up a bajillion of these and then use them at the end of the strike. They'll actually start to disappear. So maybe charge 3 or 4 and then have someone start the encounter. As soon as the odds spawn up, hit them with some blinding grenades and some stasis as well. And then as soon as you're ready, use these charged relics here to knock out the shields as quickly as you can. This first set is actually pretty easy, but if they start to aggro, there's no reason to try to hold your ground. Just rotate and try to make sure that you keep your team alive. Here's a perfect example of why having at least one Omnioculus hunter in your team is going to be set. From here, I'm going to make my teammate invis. I'm going to pull the aggro here on this side so he can have a second and get the res safely. And I've got my nade back and we can start to do damage. Now, once you've damaged this last enemy to about 25-30%, you can actually start grabbing these relics. A quick tip, if you didn't know, you can actually grab these relics through the wall, and we're going to start charging up a couple of them so that we're ready to go for the next phase. Again, if you need to rotate at this portion, that is okay. The big thing to get set up is make sure that you've got a couple of balls, so as soon as the next phase spawns up, you don't have to grab the balls and then throw them. You've got 2 or 3 ready to go, so you can knock out all the shielded enemies. Once you've gotten to the point where you're ready to kill the boss and move on to the next section, you can see that one of my teammates is holding one of the balls. I'm going to get this set up. I'm going to use my tether. If you've got stasis, this is another good time to use a stasis grenade, or if you're on a Titan, this is a good time to pop your super and clear those ads as fast as possible. At this point, you're going to knock out their shields really quickly, and by that point, there shouldn't be any ads. Just a couple of shielded bosses that you'll have to kill, and you're in good shape. Basically, the only thing I would warn you about is don't get tied up between 2 of the bosses. That's actually where a lot of problems happen in this boss room. Make sure that you're being proactive in killing those bosses and pulling the aggro to one side specifically. They won't actually rotate to the opposite side unless if someone pulls them over there. Okay, now that we're done with that section, we have a couple of unstoppable champions that we need to deal with and some shriekers. Okay, nothing too crazy here. Just have whoever is using the arc weapon knock out the shields for the knights who are going to be all over this portion of the strike. Just stay at a distance. You're using bows and linear fusions anyway, so just take a second, knock out their shields. Even if they've still got their shields on, a blinding grenade will actually make it so that those enemies in the shields will actually get blinded and they can actually get knocked out off to the side so your enemies can focus up without actually getting hit by the Taken boomers. This next part is actually very, very simple. Take out a couple of shriekers, take care of a couple of unstoppable champions. These guys are actually pretty free. What you'll need to do is make sure that if you have anyone who's running Aeon gauntlets or is using a special ammo finisher, is getting finishers so you can build up lots of ammunition in this section. That way you can get through it a little bit faster and ammo won't be a problem. There's a couple of champions through this section, but they're unstoppable. Just stay behind cover, use long range distance weapons. It's very, very easy to do. The big thing to remember is just stay at a distance, and if you absolutely need ammo, go back and pick it up. All right, so this is the first section that you absolutely need to burn a boss. Up here on the left-hand side, when you go up the stairs and you go past this pillar, it will spawn the boss. Now, you'll be between two realms. You'll be between the normal realm and the Ascendant plane. What you need to do is spend as little time in the Ascendant plane as possible. Once you've spawned the enemies, you can just chill over here. If you look on the left-hand side of your screen, see that it says Castaway. In 5 seconds, you're going to get teleported to the Ascendant plane. At that point, your team is going to burn the Ogre that is here. If you kill him as soon as you can before you get teleported back to the other side, you won't ever come back to the Ascendant plane. Now, Bungie has removed the champion that was in this location, so you don't have to worry about it at all. You can take him out really quickly, and then you just go back over here to the normal realm, finish everything up, and you're good to go. There are a couple more champions here, but all you really have to do is chill here and take care of the enemies from a distance. Now, a couple of arc-shielded knights will actually start to push you. Use your blinding grenade or any of your supers or anything else like that to clear them out. It is not a big deal. This section is very free as long as no one in your team pushes up and does anything silly. Just let all of the enemies come this way. Use your bows, especially Tikus and Monarch, to knock these sections out. All right, once you've cleared all of those enemies, and there are a lot of them, now you'll be able to push up into this area. There's going to be 2 unstoppable champions back behind these doors. They'll actually get stuck back there sometimes, and you can damage them, but sometimes they might push forward. If that happens, just pull them back at a distance. And if you can, try to get your person who is your finisher on your team or using Aeons to knock them out so you can make some ammo for everybody else. I'm not sure why these particular champions do this, but it's like they get caught behind different corners. They're very easy to finish, and they are kind of free. You just have to make sure that as soon as they get out of their stun phase, that you keep your distance because they can one-shot you very easily with their shields at this point. Now, this next section is very easy to do. There's a couple of snipers on the left and the right-hand side, but they're easily dealt with bows. At this point, use your grenades, use Bleak Watcher, use your turrets, whatever you want to do to knock these folks out. This does take a second to do, and sometimes these champions can sit behind cover and they're hard to kill. But the truth is if you just let them move around or throw a grenade left or right, or even use a blinding grenade or stun them, they'll start to move around in a way that allows you to kill them. These guys down here are unstoppables. Down on the center platform, there are 2 overloads on the left and the right-hand side. There's also going to be one more bound to Sadia boss that you'll have to deal with. And unfortunately, that boss is a little bit annoying. They can stay at a distance and can make a shield around them. However, if you take your time and just keep your distance, they're not hard to deal with. These guys are pretty much free. Just make sure that you work on staying around cover and making sure that you finish the enemies so you can get all of your ammo before you go into the next phase. Now, a lot of people who are not good at platforming struggle with this section, but I'm going to show you a very, very easy way to deal with this. First of all, you're going to jump down a really long hole down into the area which will bring you to the final Dreaming City location to battle Sadia. However, a lot of people die here because there's ogres that may try to shoot you, but there's an easy way around them. Come down to this platform here. If you look down in the distance, there's going to be a rock that's rotating over in the distance. You can see my teammate jumping over there. If you hop onto that rock and then just go off the edge one more time, you'll actually be able to just go drop right into it. You don't have to fight the ogres. They won't even notice you. So you'll see my other teammates about to do that, and I'm about to do it myself. If you're not comfortable with this section, or you have a person on your team who is not as well, have one person who's your best jumper stay up at the top, because when you die in this section, you'll either die on the platforms or you'll get spawned all the way up at the top. If you get spawned on the platforms, keep your hunter in reserve so they can jump down and be invisible so they can take out the ogre and pick up the other teammate. Okay, moving on. The next section is actually pretty simple. There's a bunch of enemies, mostly void shielded enemies on these platforms. Knock them out as quickly as you can. There's going to be a couple of overload champions you need to deal with in this little hallway here. These guys are pushovers. Just sit back behind cover and peg away at them. They will not take very long. Once you go through that area, make sure you've got all the ammo you possibly can get. As soon as you go through this hallway, there will be one last overload champion, and you're going to be in good shape, and then you'll be ready to go to the next section with the boss. Okay, this is the reason why most of you are here, and this is the reason why so many people struggle with the Grandmaster, is this boss fight. So first things first, the Invis Hunter is going to be the clutch class. One big change, you can actually chill over here on these platforms and nothing else will happen. If you go too far back, it will actually get the joining allies marker. But the truth is if you just chill right here on this spot, you can let all of the taken enemies come to the center platform and you can just wreck them. You don't have to be on any of the platforms or doing anything else like that. Just chill out here. You can be in rifts. You can use your Bleak Watcher grenades. You can use Tikus. Now, at this point, you need to grab one of the relics. That's going to be the hunter's job because they can go invisible and they won't accidentally get booped by Sadia. Take a second and go pick up the relic. Your teammates can go ahead and pull aggro on this side. Invis Hunter can just clutch up and run back over to this section. Now, whoever is not running Divinity should get the ball next. The person who's got Divinity should be ready to rock and roll. At this point, go ahead and have that person who's got the ball throw it at Sadia and then just wreck. Do as much damage to her as you possibly can, and then she'll rotate to the left rock set. At this point, this is a good opportunity to use lots of your supers. These enemies will start to pop up, so grenades are really solid. Tethers, hammers are really solid at this point as well. And I would make sure that you don't push too far off. Stay on this rock platform. There's no reason to go until you've cleared all of the ads. There's going to be a couple of solar shielded knights that can hit you with fire, so just make sure you keep your distance. And then make sure that person who's running solar knocks out their shield before you continue. Once all the enemies are clear, rinse and repeat. The hunter is going to go invis. If you're using Omnoculus, have your teammates stack around you, because as soon as you go invis, you'll instantly get your grenade back if you're using that exotic. Now, if you're the hunter and you're doing this, of course, always check for any of the debris if you're jumping over. Make sure that you're 100% clear as you make your way back over to this side, and you're just going to rinse and repeat the same thing. However, there is a change here. As soon as you've done enough damage to Sadia, you can no longer stand on this platform. So you're basically going to make a mad dash off to the taken portal as soon as you do enough damage to her so you don't have to fight these enemies. As soon as the Ascendant plane portal loads up, you'll actually not be able to stand here. You'll see it for just a second. There will be an out of bounds notification for just a second. It'll say turn back. You need to run past all of these enemies as quickly as you can. So, Hunter, Invis Clutch is coming again. Have your team run all the way through the portal and you're good to go. This next section with all of these platforms is actually really easy. There's going to be a bunch of solar shielded knights that can kill you. Stay on the previous platform until you're 100% ready to jump over. There's going to be a couple of unstoppables that you'll need to knock out. But again, at this section, you don't need to rush. Just stay on the previous platform until you're 100% ready that you can either finish or kill those enemies. All right, we're at the final platform. Are your palms sweaty? Don't worry. This isn't too crazy. Split up your team, and at this portion, use your tether here to knock out all of these enemies as soon as they spawn up. By doing that, you won't have them rotate, they won't aggro to any side, and you're pretty much free to pick up the relic and knock out. Now, here's a quick note. If your team is running Divinity and exactly the setup we were talking about before, you can actually one-phase Sadia at this point. Whoever's not running Divinity, have them throw the ball, make sure it's charged up and ready to go. Have whoever's running Divinity ready to shoot her as soon as she gets knocked out, and you can actually one-phase the boss right here. You'll actually see it on screen. It's pretty awesome. If you need to do an additional phase, there will be another set of ads that will spawn up, and they will be solar shielded. So if you're a Titan using your super there, or if you're a Warlock that is solar, that is a great opportunity for you to use your super, and then you just rinse and repeat that same process. If you do this week, you will get an opportunity to get the Hothead Adept rocket launcher as well as the Hung Jury scout rifle. So very strong this week. This strike is no longer as difficult as it was, and I encourage you to get after farming for the rocket launcher for this week. It was a lot of fun to actually do this challenge with all the little changes, but of course, if you need help, you should come on over to twitch.tv/manodestra. I help tons of people out with Grandmasters, raids, exotic helps, and everything inside of Destiny 2. As I said earlier, if you like something in this video or you learned something, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and lightly tap that like button. Of course, comment down below if you have any questions or anything else like that. I try to get to all my comment sections as much as possible. Also, you can ask questions in the Discord. The link for that is down in the description box below as well. Come join our community. We'd love to have you. Good hunting, Guardians. I will see you next time in the universe of Destiny.